Hi, my name is Daniel Ryan, and this is my reflective style vlog for multi platform development. The show idea that I had is called Tierna Roll, and what that is it's a live action Dungeons and Dragons podcast with a story based entirely around Irish myths and legends. And I made this for Audible Amazon Hub because I felt like out of all of the commission briefs that I had read and that I'd looked through, it fit theirs the best. Because one of the points that I made is storytelling based at the forefront of your idea, whether that is through narrative writing or a format that gives the show clear structure. And I feel like this fits a Dungeons & Dragons campaign very, very well, as the entire thing about Dungeons & Dragons is it's a collaborative storytelling game where dice kind of decide the outcome. So there were a few challenges that I did face going through this entire project, and one of them was the initial idea for the pitch. I think I went through 3 or 4 iterations that weren't even Dungeons and Dragons before I eventually settled on it. But I think I spent initially before the pitch, I'd say about like 2 weeks going back and forth between like 4 or 5 different ideas that just weren't settling it for me because I couldn't answer one critical question, and it's like why am I doing this? I could not answer that question, and if that came up in the pitch, I was kind of screwed, for lack of a better word. Music selection for my sizzle reel. While I am pretty confident in my video editing skills, I just could I had such a clear picture of what I wanted. The only thing is I couldn't find the music to fit that, and I was chopping and changing between 2 or 3 different music tracks that I was constantly putting in and out of the sizzle reel and rendering the finished product just to see what it looked like with that piece of music in it. And I was both happy and not happy with each selection I made until eventually I settled on one that I liked enough. It was a pain in the editing process, but eventually it kind of came together and I was happy with it. One of the other things that I actually found was quite challenging was piecing together a cast that I felt had decent chemistry. I knew because it was based on Irish myths and legends that I wanted an all-Irish cast. I think I was chopping and changing between a few different folks before I eventually settled on the cast that I have, that being Derek Landy as the Dungeon Master. We have Aisling Bea, Justine Stafford, Garen Noon, and Robert Grace. The tone that I was going for with this is that it's more comedic than other things that I might have done. That I feel like it does that. Those folks, especially most of them being comedians, and Robert Grace having a good sense of humor as well, and Derek Landy being able to write very well and write quite funny material. It does fit very well. I was happy with a few things going into this as well. Things I feel like I did very well for this project is coming up with multi-platform elements, because for an idea like this, there's a lot that can be done. Eventually, I've focused on developing the idea of a website, which would kind of keep track of what's going on in the story, have a section on more detailed and more popular versions of the folklore that we would be touching on in that story. Place for fan art, show art, kind of concept art of what the places they may be going to look like, character art and such. And I really honed in then on the social media side of things with the likes of like fan art and cosplay and using hashtags and social media campaigns to kind of help promote it that way and kind of encourage fans of the show to kind of really get involved with that, because it is, and for the likes of Critical Role and Dimension 20, who are also Dungeons & Dragons live play podcasts, they do have a very serious fan base that do get heavily involved in the likes of like creating fan art and cosplay elements. What I feel like I could have done better for this project is to do with the pitch deck. I feel like I could have made the text a little more professional sounding. I think I leaned a little bit too hard into the jovial and comedic aspect of my initial treatment, even though that was a piece of feedback I was given at the end of the pitch to extend that into my final pitch deck. I feel like maybe I might have leaned a little too hard into that, because I was aiming to give off the vibe that the show was going for, something that was going to be kind of like something a little funny, leaning into that Irish sense of humor, really, especially with the cast that was involved in. So I feel like going forward, if I was to do another idea like this or something like this again, maybe cut back on the banterous kind of speech within my text. But yeah, that's it for me, and thank you so much for watching.